I like Porter 350.
Yeah, that was the best I could come up with.
That's a Bubba.
And is he the new president of the NRA?
I believe he may be.
This guy here?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He is now advocating armed insurrection. And he gets away with it. I don't get it. But that's beside the point. Let's look at I need to look at the Dukes of Hazzard. Oh, yes. Well, we're not quite there, are we? So anyone want to, let's see, I want to know if there are people that might be comparable to good old boys or rednecks in Russia or in Kazakhstan, for that matter, Diana. So I don't know if you have a good enough idea of what these people are like to tell that. A redneck, help me here, guys.
Okay.
Typically not too educated.
Not too educated. Kind of very traditional values. Probably a blue-collar worker.
Oh.
Okay, so Vlad, Diana, you get a picture of what a good old boy is, a Bubba?
Do you know the difference between a blue-collar worker and a white-collar worker?
Well, let's start there. Do we know about blue-collar and white-collar workers? Diana, Vlad? What's the difference between blue-collar and white-collar?
Hello.
Hello?
What difference between blue collar and white collar worker? Yeah.
Yeah. Diana, do you know? Vlad, do you know?
As I remember from school, the blue collar worker is blue collar worker are people who workers by their hands. It means people who work, for example, in factories, in some industry. I don't know. So it's yeah. And on the other side, the white collar workers is people who working by using their mind. It's people who, I don't know, for example, lawyers.
Okay. Those are they're excellent examples, and I think you understand the concept. So here we are. We're back. The question is there anyone? Is there a Russian equivalent to a Bubba or a good old boy? And the way we described Bubba or good old boy was very traditional values, probably a blue-collar worker, probably lives in the country, or used to live in the country, or comes from the country. And by I mean country, I mean not the provinces, but I mean like the villages, something like that. Professor Smith?
May drive a pickup truck, or in the case of these two gentlemen, sort of a souped-up car,
Mm-hmm.
sort of a zest for life, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But women should be either thin and wearing not very many clothes, or home and pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Deanna, I hope we haven't lost you. Where are you?
So when I think about Russian good old boys, he's not a perfect example because he wears a suit, but sometimes I think of Mr. Zhirinovsky. Lad, what do you think? Can you give us an example in Russian of someone who you might consider a good old boy?
I'm thinking about good examples.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. There is no good people on this earth.
Oh! Spoken like a true liar.
maybe only Jesus. No, of course it's just a joke. Good old boy.
I'm trying to think of a good old boy in U.S. politics.
I really try, but I can't.
Now, some people call Bill Clinton Bubba, right?
Yes. However, he's not a true Bubba.
No. And some of the former governors of Texas, I think of Bill Clements, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But George W. Bush, who meets a lot, he would not be a Bubba.
Went
A
to Yale.
Yale-educated Bubba.
Real educated Bubba. All right.
So, as I understand, you're talking about good old boys like a man who make a positive contribution in some sphere or something like that.
I think you're right. I think that a good old boy a good old boy makes a positive contribution somewhere, either to his family or to his community or to the organization that he belongs to. But it's a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a complimentary term. Good old boy.
And redneck, not so much.
No. I would like, it would be if you inscribe the epithet "good old boy" on someone's tombstone, that would be an honor. But if you describe redneck, well, that would not.
But redneck is a totally negative word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Often, you might say he's a stupid redneck. Although that might be kind of redundant.
I think it's like a Russian word, bydlo, redneck.
Would you write that in?
Yeah, write that in the chat.
It's a very popular word in Russian.
It's not the kind of word you know if you don't
Bydlo,
live there.
Bydlo.
Yeah.
Bydlo, like, is that like cattle, like a cattle? Huh? Bydlo. Bydlo. Jasna.
Okay, so the mindset from a village, and I think we talked last time about how we don't have villages in the United States as much as we have small towns. Village for me is a British word, and I don't know anybody who lives in a village in the U.S. you're more likely to find a Bubba in a small town than in the city. And of course, that's one of the reasons it's hard to come up with an example, because Bubbas aren't necessarily very well known. I knew when I lived in Dallas, in Texas, I had a place that I went to eat breakfast, a little cafe where I went to eat breakfast, and I got to know all of the family that lived there, that operated the restaurant, and except for Bubba. Bubba was the brother that I didn't meet, and for a long time. But then Bubba showed up one day, and I almost missed that because they didn't introduce him as Bubba. They said, "This here's Vernon, my brother Vernon." and I said, "Oh, Vernon, I hadn't heard about you before, although I've heard about other members of the family." And Vernon says, "Well, that's because they usually call me Bubba, and you haven't seen me before because I just got out of prison."
Oh, Bubba.
Bubba.
So, your
Bubba,
mindset...
From Bubba to Beloit is what I was going to suggest.
I love it. So, your mindset is the way that you think about the world around you. And people generally share a mindset with their peer group. So, you hold beliefs in common, that is, your mindset, with a number of people in your immediate environment, or in your, should I say, class. And they're taken for granted mindsets. So you may not be aware of the ideas that you have that are taken for granted. And that's what I think I wanted to explore by looking at some of the ideas that are common to a group of people who will finish their university degrees, if all goes well, in 2016. And one of the I thought it would be interesting for you to look at this and see if there was anything on the Beloit mindset list that is common to your belief system. So that's what I want to know, for starters. Is there anything there that is true for you? Some of these things you're not going to know about, I assume. And before, I'm going to ask each of you to talk about that. So one of the things that, for me, a list like this is very useful when I'm teaching American college students, because, and this list was actually developed for American college professors, university professors, so that they would have a better idea of the way their students view the world. And So, born in 1994, they have a different experience. They are having a different youth.
Born in 1994. So, like for example, Russian students today, class of 2016, would never have lived in the time when there was a Soviet Union.
They don't know what the Soviet Union is. It's history to them.
And so that would be a huge difference in lifestyle, in way of looking at the world. If the context, mindset in a way is context. The context is very important for your belief system. So number 2 on the list is they have always lived in cyberspace, addicted to a new generation of electronic narcotics.
That's right.
You think that's right?
Yes. To my mind, it's problem number 1 of modern generation.
A problem?
Yes. Mostly problem, I guess, but it's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do they do online that you think it's a problem?
To my mind, I dare to say that the big part of modern generation is sick about, and I will explain to you why.
Yes.
To my mind, people stop to appreciate their real life and enjoy with small things. For example, to my own experience, I'm really grateful to God for the fact that my childhood existed without smartphones, tablets, PC, and computers with internet. Because I didn't have a mobile phone until I get high school, but despite this fact, I have always found the way how to communicate with my friends without Facebook, phones, and other things. And sometimes I really spend half of the day on the street with my friends, and I was happy. I have a large circle of friends, and we always involved in sports, playing football, riding bikes, thousands team games, and I really have a lot of warm memories to tell to my children. But often, what's the problem? I can't say the same about most of modern teenagers and other people. They look unhappy. For example, during the 5 or 4 years, I didn't see anyone on the playground of my district. Almost no groups of teenagers, because as I remember, in my days, we could have about 50 people at the same time on the playground. And today, all kids play video games. In any places, they always online. In social networks, and social networks became the only one, the way number 1 of interaction between people. And a lot of, and I can say it's the same about some of adult people. People became, I don't know how to say, like a consumer of cyber sphere. I don't know. Maybe, of course, maybe I exaggerate some facts, but in any way, I think that truth is not so far, because I I don't understand the people of my generation who spend most part of their life on social networks, make some stupid, useless blogs and absolutely meaningless reports of news. It's really like a cyber drug, and people become afraid to speak with each other because some of them just offline. They're afraid to ask each other personally or just even call. And I don't know. Of course, on the other side, technology improves our life. Yes, there are a lot of advantages because really we can say that gadgets help us to get smarter because of unlimited amount of information in internet. But I would like to emphasize my idea that I'm talking about global question and about global influence of technology. And I mean that in this context, technology makes society much more, I don't know, silly and manageable, something like that. It's my opinion.
Okay.
So Diana, how do you feel about this? Is that your experience?
For me,
Would you agree with Vlad or not?
of course, I fully agree with Vlad on that, and I think that it's a very widespread problem because nowadays children are addicted from different gadgets. For example, I work in the kindergarten, and I work with children, and sometimes I can see that they don't want to play with each other because they have their gadgets, and they play all their free time in these gadgets, and parents allow them to do it. That's why I personally believe that it's a very big problem. Also, I want to say that for this generation born in 1994 and in 1996, persons like Vladimir Vysotsky, Viktor Tsoi, and Igor Talkov have always been dead, because it can influence on their way of life, of their mindedness, and in other important things in life, because they listen to stupid music, they watch stupid cartoons, and they don't read at all. So it's my point of view on this problem.
Talk about Viktor Tsoi. Tell Professor Marston who he was.
Viktor Tsoi.
Legend.
Sorry?
It's a legend, he said.
Yes. it is the singer who sang different true songs about life and the generation of our parents growing up on his songs, so it's a legend. Vlad, you are right.
What year did he die in?
Died in the car accident. Yes, like Kurt Cobain in USA.
И в каком году?
Oh, unfortunately, I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken, 93 in a car accident.
Yes, in a car accident.
Oh, yeah, maybe 90. I'm not sure.
So he was a pop legend, Professor Marston. And, you know, frequently when I hear young people described today, we talk about them never having known the Beatles or never having known, you know, trying to think of these musical groups that we were familiar with, right, but that young people wouldn't know. Simon and Garfunkel, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Wow.
And Victor Tsoi, boy, he's hard to describe. He's sort of there's a little bit of Harry Chapin in him. Professor Lero, you may have to help me here.
You're doing great.
Just you know, a legendary figure. Muista boy. He's later than the Beatles. He lives into the 90s. A real iconic figure. Yes, and there's a very famous slogan, Soy Jiv, right? He's still with us. He's still alive.
Oh, kind of like Elvis.
Yeah, there was a little bit of Elvis in him. Not, yeah.
I was thinking about the reference to Elvis as still being alive.
Elvis lives, right. And let's see, can one of the Russians post a picture of Victor Tsoi? In fact, Jan, you may remember the picture of the gentleman walking up the subway steps with a guitar that I used in some posts in when we were sitting on our suitcase pieces.
Yes.
That was Victor Tsoi.
Oh, I'm looking at Tsoi, the picture that someone has just uploaded. But I need to know, is he the person who's sitting on the curb?
This is actually a wall, I believe, in Moscow where people go to write remembrances about him. And in fact, there's a huge mural with his face there. I believe this is the, can one of the Russians tell me where this location is? It's in Moscow, right? Vlad, where is this picture? And go ahead.
Yeah, I really don't remember, but maybe it's Moscow.
Yes, it is in Moscow.
Yeah.
It is wall, Tsoi's wall on the Krivo-Arbatsky Avenue.
Yeah, Arbatsky, yeah, that's it.
Yes, it's in Moscow.
And you'll see the word Kino there, Jan, several places. That's the band with which he was associated.
Up here, there's that slogan here, right here. Soy Zhriv, right there where the yellow arrow is. You can see that. Something here, bez muziki, without music, something. I can't read it.
Snyatny Krasny.
He sounds like a folk singer to me.
There was a piece of that. He was sort of early rock, would mix with a little folk.
This looks like the same thing. Soy Zhriv down here, down at the lower left. It's very hard to read fragments here.
Yeah, the Russian proverb, right? Snyatny Krasny.
Which means? What would you say that means?
There is no beautiful death in this world. Something like that.
Right.
Okay. Well,
you also named another singer, Diana, Vysotsky. Can you talk a little bit about him?
Yes, Vladimir Vysotsky. It is. Oh, sorry. He was a Russian singer, poet, and
Actor, right?
And actor, yes.
Not Taganki.
Yes.
Would we consider him a bard?
Yeah, the English word we use is bard. Joe's got it.
Bard. Diana, we interrupted you. You were talking about Vysotsky.
Also, seen about life, and he had a special view on Soviet life, and on the rules, on the authorities of the Soviet country. So his songs was banned by government, and he died in I don't know.
Fairly early on, right? In the late 60s or 70s.
Did he have a very gravelly voice?
Yeah, he has the most amazing voice. And he was an actor at a theater called Taganka, right?
Yes.
And in fact, one of his Hamlets is considered sort of like, the classic Hamlet in the West. He did a version of Hamlet that's right up there with, is it Gielgud and some of the others in the West.
Could someone write his name in the chat? Ah, okay. And so for musicians of this era, I could, who are American, I could easily go to YouTube and find recordings of people singing. Even people pretty, well, let's see, one important early jazz person was Django Reinhardt, who was a French gypsy from the 30s. And you can find classic recordings of Django's music on YouTube. And I wonder if it's possible to find things like that for Russian artists. And so I'll bring up YouTube since it's kind of one of the things that is ubiquitous. Do you look up things on YouTube, Dima?
Or are YouTube? Are you with us, Dima?
Yes, I'm with you, but I don't understand what is the question.
Do you look things up on YouTube? Do you watch YouTube with any regularity? Or our YouTube, I should say.
I don't watch. Sometimes I watch YouTube. And just a minute.
Okay, so on the mindset list, there was something that Professor Smith was captured by, and that is if they miss the Jon Stewart show, they can always get the news from YouTube. Now, I know that the part of that about watching Jon Stewart is not what troubles Professor Smith, because he is a fan.
I'm probably not troubled by any of that. I don't know. And the number is frightening. Like 40% of young adults get their news from Jon Stewart.
Whoa.
Something like that.
And why do you think that's odd? You, I think, have been exposed to Jon Stewart, perhaps in this class. Why would some of us find that upsetting that Jon Stewart is a major news source? Vlad, who is Jon Stewart?
Jon Stewart, I can mistake, but as I know, it's a very, very famous American comedian. From Daily Show.
Yes, that's it exactly. He has a Daily Show, and so why would people be upset at the thought that that's where young people get their news?
I think the most reason of popular of the show, why young people get news from the Daily Show, because of style or methods. How do they get news? Because regular news are very bored. I mean, just listening what's happening. But for example, in comedian like Daily Show, it's very funny to hearing, very funny to watching it, and you how do you say? It's easy to understand for young people.
And Diana, have you ever looked at the Daily Show?
No, unfortunately not. I haven't heard about it, and I haven't saw this show.
Haven't seen it, yes.
There are a lot of funny Russian videos in the Daily Show.
Especially about meteorite.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
It's real picture of Russian life.
I laughing aloud. It's really one of the best videos.
Which one? Say that again?
About meteorite, yeah.
In Chelyabinsk.
Ah, the Daily Show clip about the meteorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Russians are nuts.
What else on that list shocked you as you looked at the Beloit list? Was there another element that you sort of raised your eyebrow about? I will share one with you that I saw this past week. This is very interesting. They have never seen an airplane ticket.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Because you don't get them on paper anymore.
Yes.
Even your boarding pass, most people hold up their phones now, right? The phone has the boarding pass and they scan the phone.
Mm-hmm.
The
digital world, right?
Yeah.
And so I have a question about that, because someone said that